A couple of years ago, I got a smartwatch for Christmas and I got so interested in it, tracking my steps and my heart rate and my sleep. But it made me really interested in how wearables like smartwatches could be used for generating personal healthcare data, so in a real world setting. And really in the context of clinical trial designs, really powerful applications there. And I knew that Claire and Michelle had an interest in medtech also, so it seemed like a natural partnership to develop this poster together. So what we did was look at how wearables are being used in clinical trial design and how that has changed over time, if there's any temporal trends there. And then as well, we looked at if there were any specific therapy areas or interventions that were leading the charge, so to speak, with the application of wearables.
In order to arrive at our key findings for our poster, we reviewed all the clinical trials that were registered on clinicaltrials.gov that were reported to include a wearable in the study design. So the results showed that over the past 2 decades, there had been a significant increase in the adoption of wearables into clinical trial design. Manufacturers who were developing devices or behavioral interventions were the most prevalent users of wearables, and they represented around 65% of all of the trials which contained a wearable in the design. Manufacturers who were developing drugs, diagnostic tests, procedures, dietary supplements, combination products, biological or genetic products were much less prevalent, representing less than 10% of all clinical trials. It was also really interesting to see that the applications in cardiology or neurology indications were most common, but perhaps unsurprising given the availability of wearables to continuously measure heart rate and blood pressure, sleep and movement, particularly given the abundance of these wearables in everyday life outside of the clinical trial setting. However, the study showed that the generation of primary outcome data was mainly related to accuracy, operability, compliance of wearables, which demonstrates that the current focus is upon meeting the regulatory requirements to attain marketing authorization or CE marking, rather than those that are more patient focused.
I think the most important takeaway from the research that we did for me was this paradigm shift. So the shift away from the more traditional in-clinic measures towards more real-world applications and ways of collecting data. So I think my advice to pharma would be, come check out our poster and then just see the ways that wearables are being used as such a great tool and think about how maybe you could use them in your clinical trial designs.